Uzuk Gaming, everything in your video was ridiculous. You're just delusional, man. I'm so annoyed at the narrative that if you are not negative, then that means you are not real. Uzuk Gaming, if you're going to make another ESBC video, I implore you to do more than 3 minutes of research.
I ain't just filming myself talking only the best stuff about this game. If something don't seem right, then I sure as hell won't lie about it just to get on the good side of a gaming company, and through that maybe just getting an early access of the game.
Because they don't really get much views when they talk about ESBC.
That would fall into the category of prostitution in my opinion, and nah, I ain't no bitch. I ain't no bitch. I ain't no bitch. I ain't no bitch.
Yes, sir. Today is a great Monday. This morning, I woke up this morning, enjoyed my Starbucks coffee, and checked the latest eSports boxing news, and I see that we've got some good drama-filled fuckery, and I can't wait to talk about it. So right now, we've got an issue going on between two YouTubers who goes by the name of Uzuk Gaming. And Uzuk Gaming is someone I'm very familiar with, as he has a great series on Fight Night Champion with his Chump of the Day series. And I do recommend checking out his content, as he's got some great FNC YouTube fights that I think is worth your time and attention. And when I checked my news feed this morning, it appears that Uzuk Gaming has a problem with Boxing Fanatico, and we need to talk about it. And if those of you who don't know who Boxing Fanatico is, he is one of the front runners in eSports Boxing Club content. He's been covering the game for quite some time now, and he has been up to date on any and all updates, and I appreciate his passion that he has for the game. And he's also in the Fight Night community as well, taking on greats such as Malky Pablo and others in the community, and he regularly streams Fight Night Champion and other Fight Night games as well as Round 3. And I've been doing my research to find out where the source of this drama and the dissension between Uzuk Gaming and Boxing Fanatico came from. And from what I found, Uzuk Gaming has been making some comments on Boxing Fanatico's shorts where he criticizes some of the gameplay mechanics of Fight Night Champion. And then from there, Uzuk Gaming made a recent video about why he's skeptical about the ESBC release date, and Boxing Fanatico also made a response video calling out Uzuk Gaming directly on what those issues are and what his problems are the game are. Now for me, I'm going to add my 2 cents on both of these videos, as I have some opinions that I would like to share as well, and also what I think about this whole drama and what we need to do. So let's get started. So I'm going to get started first with Uzuk Gaming's video, which is titled "Why He is Skeptical About Esports Boxing Club and Its Release Date." Just in general, I don't really get where the skepticism is. A lot of his talking points that he mentions in the video, I actually agree with. Esports Boxing Club still needs a lot of work. The punching mechanics need a lot of work. They got some things great, like the check hooks and the footwork. The footwork looks amazing. I like the feints. There's a lot to be optimistic about with Esports Boxing Club, but I mean, it's just not coming out anytime soon, and that's okay. If you ask me personally, I don't think that Esports Boxing Club is coming out at the earliest. I'm gonna say winter 2023 if we're lucky. They've got a lot of work to do on this game, and I think it's best to really understand the plight of the developers working at this game. As the scope of the game increase, so does the expectations. And with a roster like what they have and what they're doing, they've got over 200 licensed boxers and counting. And how they're making the boxers are, they're actually bringing them in personally for motion capturings, punches, and things like that. So they've got to go through and motion capture over 200 fighters, one. And then after this, and this is what I think Steel City Interactive's main challenge of this game is going to be, is the fine-tuning and balancing of the game. They're going to be working on the balancing of Esports Boxing Club until it goes gold, in my opinion. And honestly, it's going to be a huge hurdle for them to tackle because there's so many boxers to get in the game, and they all have to be able to play to where it's fun, realistic, and also on an even playing field, and that's not easy to do.
Well, it's quite simple. Steel City Interactive, the producers of Esports Boxing Club, have not released any new monthly updates on their website since April themselves. I don't know who's in charge of your social media accounts, but man, this is pretty weak. Just post all updates on all platforms because I guarantee people are losing interest due to them not seeing these updates. However, I think I speak for many others by saying that I lost just a little bit of interest for the time being, but I'm demanding some kind of monthly update. What is the actual issue? Why won't you tell us?
Honestly, I think Steel City Interactive has been doing a great job with the updates. I know that they've announced that they won't have any significant or any monthly updates to provide each month. And I think that's fine because, I mean, right now we just want them to get in those trenches and continue to work on the game. If they don't have anything significant to tell us, then that's just what it is. But what I disagree with Uzuk Gaming on is that the community is less hyped about Esports Boxing Club because there's really no reason to not stay hyped about it because it's the only game that's coming out. Now, I do think that if EA were to announce another Fight Night Champion 2 or sequel or whatever in between, that could definitely disrupt things, but the hype for Esports Boxing Club isn't going anywhere. In fact, I think they've done a great job of building the hype up for it, despite the fact they haven't had a significant gameplay update in a while by announcing current fighters in the game like Deontay Wilder and the timing of it with the Tyson Fury fight. I think that's a great thing for the game, and I also like the branding that they do by having the game's logo on certain boxers' trunks right now. That's pretty cool. And, you know, I think Steel City Interactive is doing a fantastic job with building and keeping or maintaining hype for the game. My final point of contention where I disagree with Uzuk Gaming on is I don't think that we should be making any kind of demands for any monthly updates. I mean, what will we get out of making these demands from Steel City Interactive? We know that they're working on it, and we know that there's a lot of work to do. As I mentioned earlier, you know, there's over 200 motion captured fighters in the game that they have to fine tune, motion capture, develop, you know, tendencies, AI tweaking, etc., etc., etc. And Steel City is definitely under the pressure of not biting off more that they can chew. And right now, with the amount of promises that we're getting in Esports Boxing Club, they're very, very close to toting that line. But we really can't say because we haven't played the game. And whether SCI drops another update tomorrow or next year, I think I speak for many that the boxing community will be hanging on to their every word as we build up anticipation for the biggest boxing game in the past decade and possibly ever. So while I don't necessarily believe that he's lost interest in the game due to a lack of activity and unreplied emails, I do understand his perspective, as it's somewhat similar to how I feel about it right now, which is out of sight and out of mind. I know that there's a lot of work that needs to be done on it, so I'm just gonna let him work. Whenever there's something that's worth mentioning on ESBC, I'll be happy to talk about it. But for me personally, I don't want to make any judgments that I have about the game until I have it in my hands and I get to play it for myself. But that's just me. And right now, I think that the best course of action that we can do right now is to exercise patience and allow Steel City to improve on the game however they see fit. And it may be another 8 to 12 months before we see Esports Boxing Club again, and I'm perfectly okay with that. Now, moving on to Boxing Fanatico's response video, I first would recommend watching his whole video, as I'm only going to brush on a few talking points. But his main disagreement is that Uzuk Gaming accused him of essentially riding the coattails of Esports Boxing Club and Steel City Interactive, and even going as far as to say that he's on the payroll of Steel City because of his own hype for the game. In short, what they call that is shilling. He's basically accusing Boxing Fanatico for being a shill for the game. Now, personally, I don't think that Boxing Fanatico owes anyone in this community an explanation of how he should feel about the boxing game. Nor do I think there's anything wrong with sharing that excitement amongst like-minded individuals. And my line of thought is who am I to tell another man how he should feel about something and wants to talk about it? But that's just me. And if ESBC content creators want to make speculation videos and what ifs of what could possibly be, then I say keep making these videos until their heart's content. I mean, they're not hurting anybody really. If I want to make a video titled "Should Afro Thunder be added as DLC to ESBC?" then so be it. Or if I want to make a video called "Should eSports Boxing Club give the trainer the option to get on bended knee and then give the fighter a blow between rounds?" then so be it. And if these speculation videos sound silly, then we'll just let the audience decide and go from there. But all in all, I think that anyone who's hyped about ESBC should be able to express their excitement however they see fit, as long as it's not bothering anybody.
And then he goes and comments on my the little shorts that I'm doing, which is just poking fun at all these Fight Night Champion lovers, because Fight Night Champion is not even the best Fight Night game. Fight Night 2004 is a better game than Fight Night Champion. Fight Night Round 3 is a better game than Fight Night Champion. The reason that I harp so much on Fight Night Champion is because they became incredibly lazy and stripped it from being complex. They made it simple. There's this unhinging love for Fight Night Champion, where the irony and hypocrisy of, well, you need to criticize ESBC, but they lack any ability to criticize Fight Night Champions.
I think Boxing Fanatico is causing a lot of unnecessary tension and division between those who enjoy Fight Night Champion and those that are looking forward to ESBC, as we're all honestly one and the same. So I don't think there's any benefit to poking the bear of the FNC fan base to elaborate on how superior ESBC's game mechanics will be compared to Fight Night Champion, when the truth is that we simply don't know. None of us has played ESBC yet, and all we can go on is that on paper it should surpass FNC in terms of proper simulation boxing, but at this point, Fight Night Champion is all we've got at the moment. So I think we should continue to embrace Fight Night Champion until eSports Boxing Club is here, and then we can make a judgment. Now, with all of that being said, I will give admission that I think there are some very significant criticisms of Fight Night Champion that I think Boxing Fanatico is absolutely correct on. The high-low blocking being taken out of the game absolutely changes how to approach defensive fighting in the game, and it also encourages the amount of spamming in Fight Night Champion that could have been avoided altogether had the high-low block been included. And I also do think that does simplify the games, as there's no feints or real level changing to create angles on the punching, and I think this absolutely makes Fight Night Champion the most simplistic of all the games. And to add to his criticism, I think Fight Night Champion's over-reliance on outside fighting and sidestep uppercuts to score rounds is absolutely absurd, and the lack of importance of body punches when it comes to judging rounds. And speaking of the judging, I think Fight Night Champion's judging system is absolutely atrocious and downright unfair. I don't like how the ranked online matches don't include draw games. So what the game does is it'll decide on its own which player gets a power advantage and give him an opportunity to score a flash knockdown, just so the game will ensure that there's a winner and a loser. Ultimately, close fights in Fight Night Champion are decided on purely luck, and honestly this type of logic should not be in eSports Boxing Club at all, because I personally do think that one could make the argument that Fight Night Champion's judging system actually completely breaks the game, especially when you have a close fight and there's a lot of stakes on the line, and it's unfair to any player or to the loser to lose a fight all because EA Sports said so, but that's just how their games are programmed. But I digress. I will say that I do disagree with his opinion that Fight Night 2004 and Fight Night Round 3 is better than Fight Night Champion. I have played and owned every single Fight Night in the series and was one of the top ranked players in Round 3. And nostalgia glasses might be tinting his vision, but Round 3 was so broken on so many levels as well. The pairing in the game essentially makes Round 3 a game of Simon Says, where the players are only looking for counters and not really initiating offense. There's no fluidity at all to the pace of the boxing because both players are flapping their arms around like cockroaches. And also, round 3 has a problem that Champion in round 4 corrected by having an impenetrable blocking system. Meaning if you block punches correctly, there is absolutely no punching through the guard, and it leads to less punches being thrown and landed. And finally, the biggest problem that I had with round 3 again falls on the parrying. And if your stick work is good enough, you could even parry a jab with a counter and haymaker during the time window that it gives you, and you can knock your opponent out within 3 rounds or less if your stick work was just that great, making it for a short fight and honestly unpleasant. And there's still elements to round 3 that I think that are better than Fight Night Champion, but the issues that I'm listing above makes me appreciate the later games more when I go back and play Fight Night round 3. And I think that the biggest tragedy of Fight Night Champion is that despite its major flaws, it's still a very fun and enjoyable game for many, and EA never took the chance to improve on this formula and give us a sequel. And Fight Night Champion was not perfect by no means, but it's a shame that we didn't get to see EA evolve this engine over time and we got to enjoy that its tweaks and improvements. And this is a reason why I specifically would like to see another Fight Night sequel, regardless of eSports Boxing Club's success or failure. But what I want to say to both Boxing Fanatico and Uzuk Gaming, is please do not start a riot between the Fight Night Champion user base and the looming eSBC user base, as we're all one and the same. I don't see any benefit in attacking the community of a game that many enjoy when it's literally all we've got, nor do I see any benefit of calling someone a shill because they're excited about a new game. We all have one united goal, and that's to ensure that the boxing gaming community enjoys the games that we can play together now, and also enjoy the games that we've got coming in the future. And that's my breakdown on both of these videos. I just wanted to add my 2 cents, as I thought they both brought very unique and interesting points that I wanted to speak on. I want to give a shout out and much love to both Boxing Fanatico and Uzuk Gaming, and I want to acknowledge their contributions to the esports boxing community. But with that being said, the mudslinging is already out there. Uzuk Gaming said what he had to say to Boxing Fanatico, and Boxing Fanatico said what he had to say to Uzuk Gaming. So there's really only one way to settle this score, and that's in a 12-round boxing match of Fight Night Champion, the one boxing game that we do have available for widespread play today. And I think they should just settle it out and throw hands. Uzuk Gaming, let me ask you, with everything that Boxing Fanatico said in his response video to you, are you just going to take that lying down? Are you going to take that like a bitch? I hope not. And to you, Boxing Fanatico, are you just going to sit there and let Uzuk Gaming try to accuse you of taking it up the ass for Steel City Interactive? Boxing Fanatico, are you going to let Uzuk Gaming accuse you of stroking Todd Grisham's penis every time an eSBC update trailer is released? I'm curious to know what your response is too, and I can't wait to see how this drama plays out on the next episode of eSports Boxing Drama. This is LX Sniper, yours truly, signing out until the next one. Peace.